All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Native Wellness Power Hour. I am going to be leading you today through some movement. I'll just go ahead and give it a moment for more folks to jump on. And we'll get started here in just a couple of minutes. All right. Hello, everyone. I know that folks are starting to hop on right now, and we're going to get started in just a few minutes. Thank you so much for joining the Native Wellness Power Hour today. I am going to be leading you through some movement. My name is Chelsey Luger, and I am coming to you from my garage gym in Tempe, Arizona. I've been living here for about 8 years now, but I was born and raised in North Dakota. I'm originally from Turtle Mountain. And I've been working with the Native Wellness Institute for about 6 or 7 years now. And I have done many, many power hours. So I've probably met some of you through this over the past couple of years. So thank you all for joining me today for some movement. See, get myself to
moving that stuff?
No, I'm okay. All right. Okay, everyone. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our movement today. Once again, introduce myself for those of you who have just hopped on. My name is Chelsey, and I'm a trainer with the Native Wellness Institute, coming to you from my home in Phoenix, Arizona area. Tempe specifically, and this is our garage gym where we do a lot of our movement. You'll probably see my husband Thosh walking around in the background here, and I'm very passionate about healing through movement, and I'm very passionate about finding ways to make movement inclusive and accessible for everybody. Throughout this session, we are going to do a few different types of movement. We're going to try a few different things. So I would say it's not necessarily like a full-on workout. You certainly don't need to be wearing anything specific or to have a certain kind of shoes or equipment. We're just going to sort of go through a few different warm-ups and stretches and breathing exercises and stuff that you might find useful to incorporate when you are ready to do a full-on workout. So let's go ahead and start with some energizing breath. So the first step to a breathing exercise, which for me is very much a type of movement practice, is to find a nice upright seat. So you probably can't see here, but I'm actually sitting on a box, like for box jumps. So it's kind of a low to the ground seat, and my feet are at a nice 90-degree angle. My knees are right above my ankles. And what in my normal way of sitting, like when I'm working or when I'm lounging around, I tend to hunch over, as I think many of us do. It's a comfortable thing that we sort of fall into throughout the day. It's just like sort of melting into our bodies and shrugging over. And especially when we get busy on our computers, like we tend to really be like this. So it's really important to, throughout the day, to check in with our bodies and remember little things like to remember to breathe and to remember to sit upright. And when we check in with our body repeatedly throughout the day, it's a way to remind ourselves to find our energy once again through our movement and through our posture. So what I like to do is if I'm sitting like this, I'll go ahead and I'll take a deep breath in through my nose and just sit upright as I do that. And I shrug my shoulders as I breathe in, and as I exhale, I allow my shoulders to relax again. And what I'm doing, so I breathe in through the nose, shrug the shoulders. And then as I exhale, I actually pinch my shoulder blades together behind my back. And that really allows me to get into this firm, nice, upright seat. And as I mentioned, my feet are flat on the ground. And I wiggle my toes so that they can really feel the ground, the earth beneath my feet. And I place my hands very gently onto my lap. I'm not using my hands to hold me up in any way. I'm focusing on using my core and using my chest muscles and my back muscles and a nice upright structure to hold my body upright. So one more time, deep breath in through the nose, shrug the shoulders. And then as you exhale, you pinch your shoulder blades together and firmly rest into yourself now in a nice, strong, upright posture. Now we're going to do some energizing breath. And so it's going to be fast inhales through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. So it's going to look like this. So almost like you really sniffling, and you might, if you have some congestion, you're going to feel that. So you inhale through the nose, shrug the shoulders, you exhale through the mouth and just let it go. And we're going to try 4 in a row and then break. Another 4 in a row and then break. So it'll look like this. 3, 2, 1. And then a break with regular breath. So what we're doing is we're really getting oxygen into our system, and it's going to make us feel even a little bit lightheaded, but we're using our breath to bring energy to our body. So even without thinking about where your breath is going, this is going to start to wake you up just from being in the upright posture and using a different type of breath than what your natural breath, the rhythm of your natural breath does. If you take your body outside of that and you try a new pattern, it's going to wake you up. So this is actually the perfect thing to do midday while you're at work, because we tend to be starting to lose a little bit of energy at this time. So using this breath work is going to help wake up our whole mind and our whole body. So let's do that again. We're going to do 4 and then a break, and then 4 in a break. 3, 2, 1. Little break. And if you're like me, you got to take a deep breath in between. In a couple seconds, let's start again in 3, 2, 1. All right. So now we did 16 of our energizing breaths. And I really feel that lightheadedness now a couple seconds after. So now feel yourself, feel what that energizing breath has done to your body. Do you feel a little bit of a tingling in your fingers? Do you feel clarity in your sinuses? Do you feel the need to almost yawn or take another deep breath with your mouth open? That's your oxygen readjusting and your body readjusting to that surge of energy that you just created for yourself. So let's continue to energize, and go ahead and rub your hands together as you breathe in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Deeper breaths are going to bring another type of awareness to our breath and our body. And using those deep breaths in rhythm with another type of movement, like rubbing our hands together, is a good way to learn to use your mind and your body together, using your breath and your movement together. So inhale for 4 counts, Exhale for another 4. Let's do that a few times while you continue to create energy in your hands and you continue to sit upright. So there's actually, even though we're sitting and breathing, there's a lot of steps going on. That's why breath work is a movement practice. There's a lot of awareness going on in our bodies right now. And inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale through the nose. Exhale. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Now keep that breath going. And now we're going to release that energy out of our hands, that energy that we just built. So whether you want to kind of go like this or shake the hands out, or you want to start rolling your wrists, continue to do something with your hands and inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more. Inhale. And exhale. Very good. So again, we are focusing on sitting upright. We're focusing on keeping our feet flat on the ground. We are using our core and our back and our chest muscles to hold us upright. We're continuing to breathe as we move. And we are deepening an awareness of our breath. And we're using our breath to bring us energy as we continue to move. Okay, so now let's move on to some seated stretches and some seated exercises. So I'll try to adjust here so that you can see as much of me as possible. So follow along with me. You can do this from a chair or standing or however you want to do it. But I'm going to do seated because I know that there are many of us who are probably at our desks right now. And there are many of us who have limited mobility. It's hard for us to be on our feet for a long time. Maybe you've been on your feet all day and you need a break from that. So I always like to share a seated exercise. And remember, these are really good to share with elderly relatives, with kids, or with anyone who could use some exercises that don't require them to stand. Okay, so we're going to inhale through the nose and we're going to raise our right arm for 4 counts. And as you exhale, lean over to the opposite side and then inhale back up to center and exhale lower. And if you see me using my fingers to count, you don't have to follow that. I'm just showing you how I'm counting my breath. Opposite arm, inhale 4 counts. Exhale another 4. As we lean to the side, inhale, rise back up to center. Exhale, lower. Good, now we're in rhythm. Inhale, right side. Exhale. Inhale, back up to center. And exhale, lower. Opposite side. Exhale. Nice stretch in the side body. Inhale. And lower. Now this time we're going to spend a little bit longer in the stretch. And I'm just going to let you stretch to your side for as long as it feels good to hold. And maybe you could take the stretch even deeper than when we were doing the counting. I also like for myself to sort of rock forward and back, feel the stretch in slightly different areas of my side body. And then whenever you're ready, come back up to center. And we'll go ahead and do it on the opposite side, allowing ourselves to stay in that stretch for just a little bit longer and to take it a little bit deeper if that's what feels good for you. Continue to breathe. And as you breathe throughout these exercises, remember, you can send your breath to different parts of your body. You can take a deep inhale and say, God, I'm really tight right here. And literally direct your mind and your focus and your breath to that area where you are feeling tight. And then you bring it back up to center and release. Now go ahead and shake up the arms, and we're going to continue to move from our seats. This time, we're going to start doing a little stretch of the torso, a rotation stretch. So raise your right arm up and then lower it straight behind you, almost like you're doing a circle of the arm, but you're gonna grab the back of your seat. So if you have a chair right here, you can grab that. For me, I don't have a back to my seat, so I'm gonna grab the actual seat of my chair. And then you're gonna take your opposite hand and put it on the outside of your leg. And you're gonna support yourself in twisting toward the back. Nice and gentle. As always with stretching, it's important to be self-aware of the difference between a little bit of discomfort in a stretch versus pain. So a little bit of discomfort is okay because that means we're just working into our bodies. But if it hurts and if it's painful, that means that perhaps we have an injury, or we might get an injury if we push it too hard. So remember to just twist as much as you can, a little bit of discomfort to the degree that you're creating and building flexibility, but not so much to where it feels painful or where it hurts. So go ahead and twist, and then take your head all the way back around as far as you can. And then come back to center. And then we're going to do the opposite side. We're going to raise our other hand in the air. You're going to gently lower it straight behind you. Grab the back of your seat, and then use your opposite hand to support the outside of your leg. And go ahead and take that nice deep twist. That's going to feel really good, a lot of relief in the lower back. Back to center one more time. Inhale, the right arm rises. Exhale, lower all the way to the back of your seat. Take a nice twist, using your head to look all the way behind you. Shift your gaze to the deepest extent of your stretch, and release back to center. Opposite hand will raise and lower behind you. Grab the back of your seat. Opposite hand supports the outside of your leg, and you take a nice twist. And back to center. Good. So we've done our side body. We've done a little twist of the torso. Now let's go ahead and shrug our shoulders. And we're focusing on this area between our shoulder blades here. We're shrugging our shoulders up and down. I'm going to scoot a little bit closer again. We're shrugging our shoulders and rolling up and down. This time I'm taking my shoulder circles, starting going forward, and then I complete them going backward. I'll show you from the side what it looks like. Keep breathing as you do these, and try to make these circles as complete as possible. So we're not just shrugging like this, we're really envisioning that we're like painting a picture or drawing a circle with our shoulders. And to take this stretch into your shoulder blades, you're pinching your shoulder blades together and opening up the chest as you shrug behind you. Then we're going to take it to the opposite direction and see what that feels like. Keep breathing. Inhale, exhale. Keep breathing, keep drawing your breath and bringing your breath to those places of your body where you feel tight and where you feel like you need energy or you need to loosen up, where you need relief. You can use your breath and use your body to bring relief to those places. Now we're going to go ahead and stretch out our chest. So just go ahead and place your right hand on the center, or kind of the in front of your left shoulder area. Right hand will go here to support. And then you're simply going to take your left hand out wide, and without twisting your body, you're going to open up your arm as far as you can. See how far back your arm can go. And you're just using this hand here to sort of support the stretch. So you're really going to feel that openness in your arm and in your chest. And again, you can use your shoulder blades, pinch your shoulder blades together to find some expansion here. Then take that back to center, and you're going to go ahead and do the opposite side. So your right arm will extend, and without twisting your torso, keeping everything nice and square and forward from the hip up, you're going to reach your arm back as far as you possibly can. Good. And if you have the mobility, if you are able, Now is the time where you're going to go ahead and bring your hands together behind your back. So if you can grab your hands, you can put your hands in this prayer position. Bring your hands behind you as far as they can go. And now we're going to try another one where your right arm will come up and you're going to go ahead and bring that right arm all the way back behind you. Your opposite arm is going to raise and you're going to see if you can hold your hands together. See if your fingertips can touch. And that's a really good test of mobility in the shoulders. And if your hands are this far apart and you can't go any further, that's actually not, it's normal, it's okay. It's, again, it's part of this world we live in today where we build a lot of immobility in our shoulders. It happens over time, working desk jobs or aging, carrying children around for years, whatever it may be. So now I'm just taking it to the opposite side. But it's a good aspect of movement to consistently work on is that shoulder mobility. So now that we've tried that, let's go ahead and take both hands forward in front of us. And just like we did last time, we're going to open them as wide as we possibly can without twisting our torso at all. And again, everybody is going to be different. This isn't about comparing ourselves to our neighbor or to other people or to me or to anyone. This is just about getting in some good, gentle movement for yourself. And hopefully it's something that feels good for you and we can have some fun with it. All right. So let's scooch back and we are going to focus a little bit more on our neck area. So let's go ahead and lower our chin to our chest. Now, when I do this, I feel a release in tension all the way from the nape of my neck down into my torso on both sides and all the way to my lower back. And the way that you get that full stretch all the way through the back is by taking a deep breath in. And then when you release and you lower your chin to chest, you really let everything go. You really let your body relax. And when you do that, slowly but surely, you do begin to feel this release of tension all the way through the back. So that's why I like to do that. And I let my head hang there for a few seconds. If I were just on my own warming up, I might even let my head hang there for a few minutes even, just to really allow that space to be created in my back. I'm opening up these muscles by doing this conscious release of tension. So again, inhale, rise up to a nice upright seat. And as you exhale, you lower and you allow your back and your body to create space. Chin to chest. Good. And then back up to center. Now let's focus on stretching out our legs a little bit. So we can also do this from seated. So go ahead and scooch toward the front of your seat. So, or again, you could do this from standing if you wanted to, but I like to show chair exercises because I think that chair exercises are really useful for those with limited mobility, for those who are at their offices, for elders, kids in school, whatever it may be. We find ourselves in chairs a lot, and we need to learn how to give ourselves a little bit of stretch and a little movement while seated. So find yourself nice and upright. Your feet are your ankles are directly below your knees. So your leg is at a nice 90-degree angle. And you're just gonna take one leg and you're gonna stretch it. It's you're gonna place your heel at a 45-degree angle in front of you. So you have one straight leg here and one bent leg here. Nice upright posture. We're gonna place our hand on our hips. We're gonna turn our torso toward our straight leg. Pretend that there's a string connecting your belly button to your knee, and your right foot is pointed upright, And you're just gonna gently tug at that string from your belly button, maintaining your upright posture, and lean into that leg. So long story short, it's just a little stretch of the hamstring, but with really intentional posture so that we can feel exactly how much tension we have going on in that area, and we can stretch that area safely without overdoing it. Now, it's hard for me to show you my whole body, so my head's going to be cut off here, but I want to really show you what the leg looks like as we do this. I'll do the opposite side. Just take your left leg, your heel is going to come out in front of you, toe pointed upward on the ground, upright posture, shift toward your knee and your toe. Pretend there's a string connecting your toe and your belly button. And then you're just gonna gently lean forward like somebody's tugging on that string. For me, this side of my body is much more tight and tense than the opposite side, actually. So I can't go quite as far. Okay. So let's just do that again. One side and then the other. I'm gonna take it out to my right side. Now that you've seen me do it, twist, lean forward toward your toe. Take a deep breath in as you're down there. And as you exhale, see if you can take the stretch even a little bit deeper. Good. Inhale back up to center. Take the opposite leg out to a 45-degree angle. Place your heel on the ground. Turn your torso toward your knee. Gently lower. When you go as far as you can, then go ahead, take another inhale, not fully coming out of the stretch, just a slight release. And then exhale slightly deeper into the stretch. Good. Now all the way back up to center and relax. Now we're going to give ourselves a little massage of the legs, just further warming up the muscles. So just go ahead and take your fists and hitting on each side of your legs or wherever it feels good. Again, there's so many different ways that we can use our own body, our own power, our own minds, our own breath to wake up our bodies, to warm up our muscles, to get some movement into our day. Little things like this are useful tools to have, because 9 times out of 10, when we feel that slight sluggishness midway through the day, and what we think our tendency is to go for a sweet treat or a cup of coffee again. What we really need is maybe a little walk or a little movement or a little stretch or a little bit of breath work. That's really going to bring up our energy. Okay. So now that we've done the 45-degree angle stretches, we're going to try one straight forward. So I'm keeping my hips square, my body square, straight forward, and my foot is going to come straight in front of me. My heel comes to the floor on my right leg, and I'm just going to gently lean forward as I exhale. Inhale back up, right? Exhale, maybe you take it a little bit deeper this time. Inhale again. This time use your hand. Touch your left hand to your right toe if you can, or just reach it in that general direction. And exhale, touch that toe again, or reach your hand in that direction. Opposite side, left foot comes in front of us. Gently lean with an upright posture, hips are square toward that toe, back up to center, lean into it again, use your breath. You're gonna find the stretch a little bit deeper as you go each time. Whoa, that scared me. Exhale. My husband just shut the door to the house and I got all startled. Exhale, touch your toe again, or reach your hand toward that general direction of your toe and back up to center. Good. Now, one more time with the self massage. Shake it out. When you shut that door, I got all scared.
Oh, really?
All right. Very good. So now that we've done a number of seated movements and seated stretches, let's go ahead and take it to standing. So I'm gonna have to rearrange a little bit here. Move my daughter's bike out of the way. The hardest part of teaching movement online is trying to fit my whole body into the screen so that you guys can see what I'm doing. All right. Okay, so now we're standing upright. Let's keep the energy going. Let's keep it flowing. We're just gonna twist from side to side. Twist from side to side. Let your arms be loose and free. And just get a nice, continue that torso stretch that we did earlier. But we're just gonna be a little bit more dynamic with it now. And you can't see, but my feet are pivoting to assist my body in allowing my torso to stretch and open. Good, good. Now we're gonna take our arms and just raise them up and down, pinching our shoulder blades, continuing this openness in the chest and the back. And try to be really loose and fluid here. Some people, while doing this, they want to be real stiff and try to release that tension. Try to let that go. It's going to feel maybe a little bit unnatural at first because of our stress. We're so accustomed to being stiff and to holding tension, holding stress in our bodies. So that's why we have to do stuff like this to move it. We literally move that stress, move that tension out of us. And that's why we also use our breath intentionally with rhythm as we move. You inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Good. Now back to this one for a little while. Good. And as I do this, I shift my weight from side to side. It's always good to incorporate these little elements. These encourage coordination, the body and the mind working together when we have all these different elements going on. So even though it's a simple exercise, we're focused on a lot of different areas of our body, and we're bringing awareness all the way from our toes to the top of our head right now. And one more time, we're going to do that twist. This time I'm going to bring the camera down so I can show you what I mean by pivoting my feet. Pivoting the feet as I twist from side to side. Really letting my body open up. I even feel an openness in my hips as I do this. Good. So keep that going. Keep the motion going. Twist and twist and twist. All right, let's move into a little bit of standing cardio. Don't let that word scare you. We're just going to march in place here. March in place. I'm doing super high knees because it feels good, opens up the hips. But if you just want to do light steps down below like this, light steps, just pretend like we have a little walk going on, or you can take your knees nice and high like mine. And if you feel like adding an element to it, let's go ahead and add in some elbows. So right elbow to right elbow to left knee, left elbow to right knee. Opposites. So we're adding an element here, which includes a twist, balance, or like I said, if it's better for you, continue just that walking motion. Either way, we're waking up our body. We're moving. However you want to do it, whatever is your speed. If you have even more ambition than I do right now, you can run in place if you'd like, keeping that breath going. Or as I said, walk. So let's just keep doing this for another minute or two. Good. One thing that I'm doing, I don't know if you can tell, I'm focusing on keeping my knees straight up and down as opposed to letting my knees come inward, because I'm trying to keep my hips open. So the knees are coming straight up and down as opposed to the natural tendency, which is to let them cross over and bring them inward. So I'm crossing over the elbows, but I'm keeping the hips open. There we go. So that's a nice warm up there. Now let's go ahead and use our calf muscles. I am going to place my fingertips on my countertop for balance. And I'm just going to simply go up and down on the toes. Up and down on the toes. When I land softly on my heels, I'm sort of doing a little dip forward just to get the rhythm, keep my whole body moving. Now try something. I want you to see what it feels like. Focus your mind on isolating your calf muscles. So before you go up on your toes, tell yourself, I'm really just using my calf muscles to lift my body. And I'm using my calf muscles to raise me from the floor onto my toes. Now try something else. And one is not right or wrong. It's just two different ways of focusing on certain muscle groups or incorporating others. So now that we focus and saw what that felt like using just our calves and really focusing on our calves, now bring in your quads, your glutes, your core, you tighten all of those areas before you even stand upright. Tighten all those areas, the glutes, the quads, the core. Now you're going to go up on your toes, but you're using basically your full lower body to lift yourself up from the ground. And now that turns into a slightly different movement, simply based on where we are focusing our mind. So again, one is not necessarily right or wrong. They each serve different purposes. Sometimes bodybuilders or people training for certain sports, jingle dress dancers, really need to focus on how to specifically isolate those calf muscles, use those calves. Others want to figure out how can I incorporate other muscle groups to assist me in bringing even more power to a movement that requires me to utilize my calves. So it's just different ways of looking at things and teaching yourself, teaching your mind that you have control over these different areas of your body and your movement, and you can help yourself in different ways. All right, good. So now we've done some walking in place. We want to stretch, we're going to open up our quads a little bit. We really kind of opened up our hips through that last walking motion. Now, I love doing this. You're basically going to step from side to side and kick yourself in the butt with your heel. And what that does, and as I do this, I'm intentionally keeping my knee below my hips. I'm not bringing it up here. I'm kicking straight back from my heels, focusing on my heel, pushing up toward my glutes from the knee, stepping from side to side. And what that does is it opens up the quads. So it just feels good. It's like it's a dynamic mobility stretch movement that opens up our quads. Good. And it allows you to, again, you're further training your coordination as we do this. Good. Stepping from side to side, kick yourself in the butt because it feels good. All right, very good. So we've got about 20 minutes left. We did a good little warm up there. Someone said, what about for women's tradition? Oh, stretches and movement for women's traditional. Well, gosh, from what I understand, for that type of dancing, what you're really focusing on is rhythm, and your breath work is actually going to help you with that. So sort of that walking in place that we did and incorporating your breath with the counts of the music. So inhale, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. So any kind of utilizing the breath and rhythm of the body is going to help us with any kind of dance that we do, any kind of sports, anything that requires coordination. One of the best things that you can do is train your breath to assist your body. Train your breath to work with your body. And the reason that we have to train that is because our natural tendency, sometimes when we're exerting ourselves, we hold our breath. We hold our breath just like we hold tension in our muscles, just like we hold anxiety and stress within ourselves. So when we remember to use our breath to keep us moving, we're actually giving ourselves so much more energy, and we're giving ourselves the ability to exert. Okay. So again, I don't know too much about women's traditional dancing, but as far as I can see, I think that using the breath and stepping in place and really training that calmness and that centeredness of the body and just being fluid with the breath is the way that you could help yourself in that category, or in any category really. And if any of you are runners out there, one of the first things you learn with running is to use your breath as you run. And this is something, again, that our ancestors have been doing this since the beginning of time, using breath work to move the body. And so it's a good way to incorporate our teachings with our movement practice. So now we only have about 15 minutes left, but I really quickly wanted to go over what we call the 7 basic movements. And one of those is gait, which is just walking. So the 7 basic movements is a method in functional training that says that the body naturally is born to move in 7 different ways. And as we get older, as we age, as we get injuries, we go through life, different things happen. Our body kind of unlearns these movements because of the tension that we build and the injuries that we go through and different things. So in order to maintain these movements throughout life, we have to practice them. So the 7 basic movements of functional training are pull, push, squat, lunge, hinge, rotation, and gait. So though we've actually already done pretty much all of them, but I just wanted to show you 1 or 2 versions of each movement and to show you there are so many different ways to continue these movements, to practice these movements, to incorporate them into our stretching, into our weight training, into our functional mobility. Any kind of training you do, these 7 basic movements are going to be relevant. So, like I said, we already focused quite a bit on gait, which is our walking or our running in place. So we won't go over that one again, but you all did a fantastic job with that. The next one that we'll focus on is pulling. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a little weight. I'm going to grab a ball here. Now, of course, not all of you are in the middle of a gym with equipment. You don't have to have anything in your hands for this, but just to demonstrate, I'm going to show you how I can do a pulling movement with this ball. So I hinge at the hips, my body stays nice and upright, and I pull the ball toward my chest using my back muscles. So pull. The other way of doing this is maybe you have 2 dumbbells in your hands. You pull them upright, and then you get a resistance training through the shoulders and the chest area. So there are many different ways that we incorporate pulling, and this is just one of the motions that we're born doing. Sometimes we pull ourselves on a rope. We pull ourselves up as we're climbing something. We do a pull-up on a bar. So this pulling motion is one of our 7 basic movements that we should continue to train throughout our lives. Next, let's do pushing. So my favorite, of course, is the push-up. And I know everybody loves doing push-ups as much as I do. So you don't have to get on the floor and do push-ups if you don't feel like it. You could easily go up against a wall or your desk, or you could just simply practice this motion of pushing your hands out in front of you. Well, let's go for 5. If you are doing push-ups with me, straight down to the ground, nice tight core, and really using our pushing movement and our breath. We inhale as we lower. We exhale as we push ourselves back up. Let's do 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Now from upright, we push 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these movements, they come into our lives, whether it's in the gym or maybe even in a natural way. We're moving furniture around. We're pushing our cart through the grocery store. These movements manifest themselves in many different ways. They come into our lives naturally. So we continue to train them in the gym so that we can have full functionality of these movements in real life. Next one we'll do is our squat. So the squat tends to be one that we do on a daily basis, especially if you're like me and you got 2 little kids at home, constantly squatting down to pick them up, squatting down to pick up a toy, squatting down to clean up something that spilled on the floor. So as we train these movements, if you look at pictures of our ancestors from not even that long ago, like 200 years ago, you will see elderly men, elderly women sitting squatted or sitting cross-legged on the ground. Now that shows that our people were maintaining mobility well into elderly age because they're constantly moving and constantly training these motions. So we don't need to believe or relegate ourselves to this story that we lose our mobility at a certain age. We know that we can maintain it if we train it. So no shame, no judgment. And just remember, it's never too late to start training this stuff if you haven't yet. So I'm going to use my ball here and I'm just going to squat almost like I'm sitting on the ground and then just stand back up. So we're just going to practice a couple of these together. And of course, if you have weights, you could add that. You could probably hear my knees cracking all the way across the Zoom world. And that just means that I need to keep squatting. All right. Now our next movement of the 7 basics is our lunge. Again, just like the squat, we're constantly lunging. We don't even realize it, even outside of the gym. So there's a forward lunge. That's going to look like this. If you play sports, you might often use a lunge movement throughout the game, or you can do a reverse lunge. It's going to look like this. You step backward instead of forward. Backward, there you go. Or there's lateral lunges, where you step from side to side. All kinds of different lunges. Continue to train those. So that's 4, that's 5 actually, because we did gait. So the other 2 are our hinge and our rotation. So our hinge is just like we've been practicing all along. Nice upright posture, and you hinge at the hips, hinging your body without moving around your legs or without slouching. You train yourself to have that self-awareness to hinge at the hips very mechanically. Almost like, now of course, if this is in a weight training context, this would be, you use this for a deadlift. In a real world context, You use the hinge all the time. So training that hinge movement, remembering how to keep our posture upright as we hinge at the hips. And then finally, our rotation. So we did this several times. When we did the seated stretch, we breathe up, we grab the back of our seat, we rotate our torso, right? We already did that. You guys did a great job with that. And then we also used the rotation as we did this more fluid upright stretch, this more fluid upright mobility exercise where we really allowed our hands to fly and use our hips to pivot and rotate our body. But we want to maintain mobility in the vertebrae. We want to maintain mobility in our torso. And so the rotating movement, of course, is a motion that we constantly use. You're in an airplane, you're in your car. This is me in my car every day trying to reach to hand my kid something in the backseat. So these are movements. It's like there's this gym version, but it's all for the purpose of real world application. Anything you can train in the gym, there's going to be a real world application for it in your life. And as I mentioned, don't think of it as, oh, that's for young people, that's for, certain whoever. No, this is for everyone. Everybody deserves to have this full functional mobility in their bodies. And here's the thing is we're all going to go through hardships where we don't have access to certain movements at different times. Whether you've had a surgery or you've got an injury, something is stopping us from moving in different ways. So when we can, and when we have the ability, we move when we can, and we keep that mobility going well into our elderly age, just like our ancestors did. So I'm going to go ahead and end it here, but I'm happy that we did seated stretches. We did some standing mobility, and we briefly went through each of the 7 basic movements of functional training. So feel free to Google that. It's not something I created. The 7 basic movements is a long-standing structure in functional training, and that's very, very useful. It's one of those things where once you start to learn the basics of it, you can then learn thousands of exercises just based on those 7 basics and turning them into compound movements or adding resistance or adding plyometrics to it. So many different ways to use those 7 basics. And if you really want to learn how to train yourself, learn those 7 movements and expand them as much as you can. All right, I just want to thank everybody for joining me in movement today. That felt really good for me. I really needed that. It was a high anxiety week for me, and I really needed this movement. And I really appreciate you all for joining me for this movement today. I can't see any of you, but I wish I could. And I'm very proud of all of you for joining me in this. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.